What a big speech like I have to do is coming up State of the Union. Any advice you have for me in delivering my speech?
Well, sir, in my capacity as president, all I had to deal with was a meteor. One of the things that I came out of that with in my speech to people, hope. Hope is the strongest force we have in this country. It is the most useful and the most effective. My advice is just keep telling us how you're working for us and building hope.
Well, Mr. President, looking back at my own presidency, I behaved very badly in a lot of situations. In preparation for your speech, it's just there was one sort of piece of advice and that meant a lot to me when I was president. And so I just wanted to share that really quick with you. Tell them that you exist for them. Tell them that they make you a better man. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and also when I used to give big speeches, I would always wind down with popcorn and red wine. So, but I know for you that would be ice. Do that with ice cream. I highly encourage it.
I know from experience, obviously, what a tough job it is. And, when I was president, it seemed like every week there was some new crisis that I had to face.
You did a hell of a job.
Thank you. I do feel I should just point out one thing it always bears remembering: there's no crying in politics.
Well, what I hope is my politics doesn't make anybody else cry.
Mr. President, from my experience of being commander-in-chief, I learned that having a loving partner changes everything. Love and compassion as a leader are strengths. They're not weaknesses and are key to your character. So let that shine through in your speech. And don't forget to save a dance for the First Lady in the East Room.
We've had a lot of lines to learn ourselves. It's nice to watch somebody else have to get it all together rather than us, In Independence Day, I had it easy. We just had invaders from outer space coming in wanting to mess with us, and that tends to unify people. And I'm not so sure it was the greatest speech ever, but I did manage to say two things. One is that we can't be consumed by our petty differences, and we will be united in our common interests. And somehow these words became something to remember. So I had the thought, Mr. President, that, when people look at all that you've managed to do, they're going to remember, time will remember always the importance of your words when you say that thing about there's nothing that we can't do when we do it together. Those are good ones. Best wishes to you, sir.
There's nothing beyond our capacity, and I believe that. Hey, come see me in the White House. I'm very serious. I'd love to meet you all in person. Thank you.
Even though it was unanimous opinion, some of the justices suggested that perhaps they disagreed with the idea that solely Congress could step in and prevent an insurrectionist, as you say, from running again. Do you have any faith, though, that Congress will ever step forward with legislation that could safeguard this piece of our elections?
I think that's one of the big concerns from this decision. The majority of the Supreme Court decided Congress could act. But this Congress is almost non-functional, so the likelihood of that is very low. That means that if there is an oath-breaking insurrectionist running for any federal office, they basically have, just freedom to run without any consequence. The purpose of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, at least in my view, is to safeguard the country from insurrectionists taking office and destroying democracy from within.
I'm just doing it anyway. Hey, folks, welcome to News from the Pew, where we talk about things from around the interwebs. I'm Rick Barrett, your host. A little under the weather, dealing with some bronchitis type stuff, because here in Texas, it went from like 40 degrees to 80 degrees, and my body was like, nah, I ain't dealing with that. So little raspy, little deeper voice than usual. But I'm happy to be joined here by Mr. Stephen Cunningham, Godfather of YouTube, and we got some stuff to talk about today, folks. It was a little bit of a week, and yeah. So the first thing that shouldn't have shocked anybody, and you saw it in our opening video, was SCOTUS came down 9-0. Although some people said, "Oh, it was 5-4," and they were trying to do all this other kind of stuff, shouldn't have been a shock that this took place, because in the end, this whole thing they weren't going to allow these states to do this kind of stuff and take power away from the federal government, and that's what SCOTUS ultimately decides in that regard. So, your thoughts on the SCOTUS going 9-0? I thought it was going to be 8-1, but apparently it was going to. I thought Sotomayor was going to throw a hissy fit. But
yeah, when we were talking, you were thinking that even with the KGB, KGP, KGD, whatever her name is,
Gina Jackson. It's either Brown Jackson or Jackson Brown.
Yeah, KDJ. We thought she was going to be that way, but she was the same one too. It was such a easy. It was a layup. It was so easy and so bad of an argument by Colorado that even the craziest and would have to go. You know what? They can take that back. We don't live in reality. We live in clown world. Hence why I haven't done Clown Planet. I will after I get done with Butlers again. But look at Keith, formerly ESPN, crazy.
He was so good back when he was doing Sports Center, man.
Yeah,
if you ever watch those highlights again and be like,
dude,
this guy's a psycho.
When Keith and Dan was doing it, man, that was great.
I wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to work in ESPN as a sports broadcaster because of those guys. Because
definitely. I had no idea back then that Keith was pretty much a lunatic. I mean, the Supreme Court has to betray democracy. The members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, prove themselves inept at reading comprehension. It must be dissolved. It's illegitimate. It's only illegitimate and must be dissolved when it doesn't go their way. You see that countless times when if Roe 2.0 came through the Supreme Court, we have the Supreme Court. They're the greatest humans ever. If it doesn't go their way, they act like a little bunch of crybabies that just got their suckers taken away by their parents. Oh, we got to get rid of the parent. We got to get rid of this. It must be dissolved. Hey, we need to flood the courts. We need 100 people in there. It's lunacy, all because of Orange Man bad. But, dude, I mean, seriously, that whole thing, it's America's next top president, as the alternate media guys talk about all the time. There's a reason. It's drama. It's weird stuff that goes on to keep people talking about it. It's Coke versus Pepsi, and at the end of the day, they're on the same side. Where's the let me get that Trump video
for a second. As you know, this president of the United States, when it comes to Israel, is getting protested. Now he seems to be turning on Israel. But the non-committed vote that Biden's getting, they're not going to like you either, because you are firmly in Israel's camp, correct? Are you on board with the way the IDF is taking the fight in Gaza?
You've got to finish the problem. You had a horrible invasion. It took place. It would have never happened if I was president, by the way. As you know, Iran was broke, Brian. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They were broke. This would have never happened. And for another reason, they wouldn't have done it to me. I guarantee you that. They did this because they have no respect for Biden. And frankly, they got soft. And what happened here is incredible. That should never have happened. Likewise.
And last night, you know what happened last night, right? None of the above. I'd like to congratulate none of the above. I was one of those.
Now, for context there, he just won Nevada. He wasn't on the ballot in Nevada. None of the above was who you voted for, and he was none of the above. And it's just like crazy town. I mean, hey, congratulations on Nikki for winning Vermont and District of Criminals, D.C., if you're nasty. But hey, here's Trump just today on Truth. Pandemic no longer controls our lives. Vaccines that saved us from Rona are now being used to help beat cancer. What? turning setback into comeback. You're welcome, Joe. 9 months approval time versus 12 years that would have taken you. He's getting roasted, and rightfully so, on all
Deservedly
sorts
so.
of different media platforms. This is RFK Jr. going after him, but you won't see the cheerleaders. Jack and those
Trump,
guys. That meme I have on Cespedellium on Gossip, the guy's got the zipper. Trump just pretty much does that. It's kind of like that Saturday Night Live video on the shoes. No, that ball actually went in. You lost. I was the greatest thing ever. And you're like, yeah, it was. He probably just tells them, zip it up. They probably do it voluntarily.
Yeah. They know they know what they can and can't talk about. The talking points are out there. When it comes to Israel, especially since Ivanka and her husband are Jewish, shut your face and support whatever they're doing. Because that's support, because that's part of his thing. When it comes to the LGBT movement, shut up, support it because he wants a bigger tent, or now it's IVF. Right? Shut up. It's okay. You had Jack and all those guys run out and say, like, oh, it's okay, guys. It's fine with it. Shut up and do it. So that way you can get the check. It's like everything else in life, guys. You want the money to keep coming, you stay in line.
Here, you see this guy say, if you don't vote for Trump, you're pretty much committing sin.
I've said this many times. If you do not vote and you inadvertently allow the other side to get in, because I don't want to vote for Trump. The other side's going to get in. They are going to put in place wicked policies. Right. You are to blame for those wicked policies. So we need to be mature adults and choose the one who's going to put in the better policies. And if you don't know what that is, you're very ignorant. Maybe you shouldn't vote. But I got to tell you something. This is hard. The reason I get so animated, emotional, this affects people. You care about kids in the inner city, you better care about who's the mayor and the governor and the president, because their lives are being made miserable. Their lives are being destroyed by wicked leaders and wicked policies. And so people kind of say, well, I don't want to dirty my hands and vote for Donald Trump or whoever. That is childish. That's virtue signaling. And God will judge you for sitting on your hands when his people are, hungry.
I mean, I don't know where he was going with the whole the mayors and the governors. And wait a minute, they can do that. We got some news on governors and all that. But if you're living constitutionally, federally, that has nothing to do with anything. But that's that whole central. Hey, we hate the French Revolution, but we like centralized governments. That the French Revolution brought in. We can't have it. It's schizophrenic. We say we don't like this, but we're so stupid on things. But we're taught, because of how we're raised in state-run education camps, aka schools, and things like that. We're taught one nation, one nation, one nation. You got to put your prayer rugs out to D.C. and pray to D.C. and the Temple of Lincoln and Jefferson Memorial. All that's look at those idols in D.C., which you never see any Protestant upset about those idols at all. Never, don't build those things. No. We're 100% cool with that. It's just you Catholics until Christmas time. Then we'll throw Mary out there on our lawn, because we don't have any principle. We put it behind the door. It's really easy if you take away, unplug from that matrix and think about how was this really set up? Oh, the states created the states created DC. If it weren't for the states, DC dies. Oh, wait, that's probably why they are terrified at states being like states. If states be states, DC literally goes away. You have to have states to fund the district of criminals.
Yeah, there's a reason, consent of the governed. It's right there in the actual blueprints. But it's more just, it's easier. It really is. It's much easier to just pick one side or the other, not really get too invested in anything else, and just hope that your side wins. And so that guy can tell you that God will judge you correctly because you voted for Trump.
Coke versus Pepsi. I'm going to get my T-shirt that Biden's going to send me, or Trump's going to send me, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, right now they're talking about, they always start in, government shutdown. We're not going to be able to. The government needs to keep going on. Now, how many times we went over this months ago? How many times the government went down and nobody Didn't bother you, didn't bother me, might bother. The only time local news that they interviewed the people that were on the WIC. That was it. But
it was
here's
the
some
TSA
of the
agents
cuts.
do that one time.
Yeah.
As you've seen the summary, cuts to some of the agencies that we believe are really overreaching and have been turned in some ways against the American people. We're going to cut 3% from DOJ, 7% from the ATF, 6% from the FBI, and 10% from the EPA. And that's just a start. We have a lot more priorities and things that we need to advance, but the reality is, as we all recognize, is that we have to grow the House majority, take back the Senate for the Republican Party, and win the White House. And I'm here to tell you the reason we're optimistic is we believe those things are going to.
And what does that do? Where has that ever? I mean, yeah, because, we're going to cut just a little bit off the top of these unconstitutional alphabetic agencies. But if we win the White House, man, we win I tell you, it's going to change. Hey, when on the back, I got a show of hands question. When has that ever changed? It's never changed. But believe me, this time it will change. You just vote hard or vote right. Yeah. Put P. Diddy out there, vote or die, who's what it was. He's was a Westerman of media, rap media. He got
the Epstein. He there are things coming out about him being more of an Epstein-ish kind of guy than anything else. But either way,
but that spending bill that was coming out last week that we were talking about. Here's one of the things that were in it. By the way, you're a bad person if you didn't go off that spending bill. Oh, some of the pork.
Want your next new car to have a kill switch that can be used to prevent you from starting the car, or that could take over the operation of the car because some AI program or some guy in a control room doesn't like the way you're driving and thinks you might be impaired? NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has issued a
totally constitutional, by the way.
Notice.
Yeah, this guy fills me with confidence, by the way.
Automakers to equip all new cars and trucks sold in America with technology that could monitor the driver of the car, cameras in the cabin of the car, sensors that could detect if the driver has swerved out of the lane, or that could watch the driver's eyes to see if the driver is adequately attentive to the road. Now, I don't know about you, but this strikes me as an intrusion on personal freedom and privacy. NHTSA has asked for comments, and the public has an opportunity to weigh in on these issues.
Good thing, guys. You get an opportunity to say something.
That makes you all feel warm and fuzzy, doesn't it? This is also in it. Yeah, we talked about this back in September.
Y'all make fun of confessions for being at between 3:15 and 4:15 on a Wednesday. Yeah, your public comment is going to be at 2 a.m. on like a Saturday morning where nobody will be able to find it. So
yeah, we talked about that before. If you plug it, where are you going to go? It's was it How? Where do you think you're going to go, Kyle? The South Park spoof on it too. I don't think you're going there today, Kyle. Maybe it doesn't come on because there was a bill a couple months ago or about a half year ago. Every new car is going to have a kill switch involved, which done. You're not going anywhere. 15-minute cities, they'll make you live in 15 minutes. It's just like the thing at the border. Oh, we're going to make digital IDs for your safety. And you will applaud it because I got nothing to hide. It's kind of like going into the shopping center. Oh, they're going to force you to have a check-in with digital ID because you're not going to steal, but it keeps those other guys from stealing. But you're now a slave to the digital ID.
If you guys think this is some kind of like conspiracy stuff, just look up the mile or whatever it is in Saudi Arabia. The whole thing is designed to be a 15-minute city. There's a couple 5-minute cities that are being developed and actually designed out, I think, in England. So this stuff's coming sooner than most of us realize.
And here was another part in the bill. Massey was all over this last week. He talked about this September, the edible plant vaccines. Here's the link that he puts in. Example of what we are funding when we pay taxes. So grow and eat your own vaccine. Again, go grow your own food. I mean, I don't know if I texted you. I got this book from a guy in the North Carolina mountains by a priest in the 19-teens who was shut up pretty much by their version of Big Pharma because he was keeping his entire flock and area 100% healthy from just eating dandelions or St. Benedict's herb. Never heard of it before. I ordered about $1.50 for 100 seeds or 500 seeds. Thing cures all kinds of things. That or going to big pharma where you have to pay how much money to be able to get a pill that has incredible side effects to you, and then you get something else sick, you get something else for it, you get something else, and the chain reaction keeps on going, and now they're poisoning your food. Grow your own food. You don't pesticide your own food. You don't screw it on it. You control the soil, control the water, and it tastes a lot better than what you get over at the grocery store.
Yeah, and of course, if you've been traveling in any of these circles, you understand the last 30, 40 years, you've seen the GMO go from naturally fresh food to seed oils and all of that. You just take a look at the food you're going to eat tonight. If you're unwrapping a bag or whatever the case may be, just look at the ingredients. Seed oils will be in there. Some type of GMO will be in there. And listen, if you got to feed your family, whatever, I got no problem with it. You got to eat. You got to eat if you're not growing food at this point. But it's not crazy talk, guys. The food has been modified. If you really want to understand this, go to a place like Rome, eat all of their food that they have for a week. The pastas, the breads, the pizzas, all that stuff. You'll maybe gain a pound and a half, maybe 2. You have that same diet here, it's going to be 15 pounds. There's
a bread Bible, because we got our own little bread maker thingy madoohickey, and you read it and it's fascinating because you're going, well, they only ate bread back in the day, but it was so stacked with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that it's not like the stuff that you just get out of the store, or Sunny Loaf or whatever it is, and you're like, you know what, it's just a little fluff. No, this stuff had some hardcore things in it. I was telling people about dandelions. I ate a dandelion yesterday. They're like, what? I usually weed that out.
Steve's such a hippie.
It's got vitamin A, B, B1, B6, potassium, loads of other nutrients in there. Ever been taught that? Is one of those like, man, they don't want you to be healthy, so you're stuck in their system to stay sick. And then when the sniffles comes over, you're dying like this. It is all there. I get it. I'm probably going to start a new channel on just God's way of giving us food and things like that. Or I don't know what to call it yet, but it will be different from the Sons Fidelium channel. But you talked about this before. This came out the other day. Not her, but EVs release more toxic emissions, are worse than government, are worse for the environment than gas-powered cars, says study. When the New York Post tells you that.
Oh, the fact of the matter is you got to drive like an absurd amount of miles. I think it's like 50,000 or something. Don't quote me on it, but there is a certain amount of miles that you have to drive before your car technically becomes carbon neutral.
Yeah,
because of all the things that had to be the mining and the lithium battery and the production design and all this other kind of stuff. And the next time you go by a supercharger, guys, realize the amount of power for one of Tesla's superchargers, the amount of electricity that is actually pushed through there. That's equivalent to about a block of homes. If you look at the amount of kilowattage that is used to power, especially these new Cybertrucks, because they're heavier and there is a different battery setup, it's akin to a normal house. I know Massey one time said, all right, let's compare how much you use a refrigerator versus your normal house does not consume half of the energy that one of these cars needs in order to be fully charged. That's why it was always a joke that you're going to just drive your little car back to your garage and just plug it in like an iPhone. And then overnight it was going to be back to 100%. But people were dumb enough and they had been conditioned enough with cell phones to believe like, oh, I'll just plug it in and in the morning it'll be ready to go.
Right. It brings peace.
Russia has the ability to be able to make enormous changes if it really wanted to.
I can't believe this guy's still alive.
If Russia has the ability to wage a war illegally and invade another country, they ought to be able to find the effort to be responsible in the climate issue. Unfortunately, because of the actions that Russia took in an unprovoked, illegal war against another nation,
you know about us?
We have not been engaged in discussions with Russia. Sadly, I say sadly because it's a loss for the world not to be able to have Russia acting constructively on this issue. But we need every country, including Russia. Russia is one of the largest emitters of emitters in the world. If Russia wanted to show good faith, they could go out and announce what their reductions are going to be and make a greater effort to reduce emissions now. And maybe that would open up the door for people to feel better about what Russia is.
Not the Chinese.
You know, John has never been to the most northeastern or western part of the Soviet Union, where it is so cold that you have to actually run your cars 24 hours a day. Because if you're stupid enough to shut it off, it'll never turn back on. It's so cold in those areas. So John's like, yeah, let's worry about emissions. And the people of Russia are like, go, jump off a bridge because
you go emission yourself.
Yeah, right. Go back on your, dump Heinz ketchup all over yourself because it's so elitist and so out of touch.
Talking about out of touch and health and the state coming after you because they don't like you. They're going after the Amish.
We are hearing now from a Lancaster County farmer after a judge ruled he can no longer sell his raw milk products commercially. CBS 21's TJ Anthony spoke with the owner of Miller's Organic Farm. TJ's here.
Should put TJ on the other side of the screen, huh?
So the Department of Agriculture says that
white women always
if you
go
got
first.
sick from these products, what is the farmer saying tonight?
So Jasmine, Amos Miller tells us he thinks the judge is not working for the people. Now, this is a story we've been following very closely. It's one a lot of you have actually been talking about. The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture made a ruling yesterday in the case about the raw milk dairy farmer. So under the ruling, Miller can produce raw products for his family. But when it comes to commercially selling his raw products, he must get a permit.
Gotta get a permit.
Yeah.
Isn't that racist? It's kind of like the ID laws.
Provide the nutrient-dense foods our members really want.
Now, dozens rallied outside of a Lancaster County courthouse Thursday to show their support for Amos and his products. The people that I spoke to at this same rally want his products to stay the same. Miller says he will have to see whether or not he gets a.
They're going to bankrupt him over selling natural milk. That's actually now, if he was giving jabs in the middle of a parking lot to regular people, to anybody, just saying, no, just throwing a jab. I don't have a license. I have anything. I'm just doing. They would have gave him more. they would have bought him lunch, drinks.
They would have given him everything. They
put him on payroll. But now you see the farmers in France, and the other side, they're going absolute berserk. That stuff's coming over to this way. What Texas? They just killed 10,000 cattle on fire.
Oh yeah, the fire. Yep.
Yeah, I was joking online saying that the guys didn't have the right roof color. See Joe saying, now if you have the right roof, you won't get burned. Like, whoa.
Yep. Yep. That's something.
Oh, by the way, they're bringing in meat from Paraguay, which is on the record saying it's terrible for you and full of disease and bacteria. But hey,
it's cheap. It's cheap. It's probably stuff you can find at your local Walmart, Steve.
I guess, I have to buy. I owe you a steak dinner for the flank steak for missing out on Michelle Obama. Which, man,
nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen. But it's okay. I was right as usual, but that's fine. Big Mike has no interest in getting back into politics.
If she comes back in, she
has no reason to.
I
man.
know.
There's none. She doesn't want the job, so it's that simple.
Maybe she can identify as Barack, or Barack can identify as her. That's a thing, right?
I mean, didn't he pretty much do it already when he was president?
He
just let her pretty much run the whole place. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all of that. Moving on into the next topic is Super Tuesday, or Super Duper Tuesday, which took place pretty much unsuper, most boring Super Tuesday in a while, but take a look for yourself.
I'm not supposed to say.
Well, let's just lead off saying, here's my future governor of North Carolina, which I voted for as lieutenant governor, and was talking about him long before everyone else started getting on his coattails now. But this is from 2021, I think.
Let me ask you this, Steve. Well, before you start doing it, man, is it true? Does he have what it takes to potentially be the next, elected king down the line?
Oh, in 2028?
Yeah.
Well, he's got the right color. It's like was it last week that the lieutenant governor from Virginia misgendered on purpose. She was right, even though she apologized later. calling the tranny a him, yes sir, to him, and the dude left, upset that his Cracker Jacks got taken from him. In the kind of like paper rock scissors of culture wars, I think race trumps transgender. So I guess I don't know what scissors would be. But yeah, I think he would do it.
We're not going to do, but
I'm sorry.
There's a joke there, but we won't go there. So.
Yeah, there's quite a few jokes. Yeah, he's got the color, he's got the charisma, he's got the. I mean, he would win. Obviously, all the conservatives, even though I've heard him speak before, and he's not great on history. Like he's all GOP is the greatest thing in the history of the world. They've never done anything wrong. Type deal mindset coming from they're the party of freedom and liberty, and forgetting about the radical Republicans in the 1860s, forget about all that other nonsense, the Jim Crow that came from them, the big government from them, everything recently from them and enacted wars. Because actually the GOP used to be pro-peace. It was the Democrats that wanted wars from Roosevelt to except for Kennedy, but everyone else started a war. Bush was the one outlier for GOP to start. Hey, let's go out and bomb everyone in the Middle East. But he's got the race, got the charisma. I mean, you can't go out after him saying, "Well, he ain't black. He's a black dude married to a black lady, going to a black Baptist church." He's that. Now he's not a big fan of Catholics. We just got to work on converting him. Again, it goes back to last time. Say Trump is not the only one we can pray for. We should be able to pray for everybody, including Brandon, Pelosi, all those people. Send them miraculous medals. Why not? I mean, St. Paul Street team's got $250,000 of red medals laying around. Get some and send them off. Put them in some mail packages. I don't know. But truthfully, yeah, he could do it. I mean, I'm shocked he only got 68% of the vote here this past week and on Tuesday, because there was 3 running. There was a Lutheran. We had a Catholic. I think he dropped out. Maybe because he found out there was absolutely no chance that he was going to get any votes. I mean, literally from day one, from Mark talking, I remember saying, dude, he's going to be governor easily. Jimmy, here's just one. Here's just one of his quotes.
Ain't but 2 genders. Two genders.
This is the upper room, isn't it?
Yeah, this is back. Yeah, and back in 2011, 2021. In this context, if anybody doesn't know North Carolina politics, was it 4 or 5 years before this? You had the bathroom bill go through, and they went after the governor. Then everyone from music to NBA to everyone, they were trying to boycott the state because the state wasn't going to let men go into women's bathrooms.
Yeah, it started in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, Charlotte was big. Yeah, that was a huge thing. North Carolina was the last state to fold on that. So there's a context of this right here.
Ain't nothing but men and women. And I can already see WRL out there. They got they licking their pencils right now, trying to write fierce as they can. Get every word of this here. Get every word of this. You can go to the doctor and get cut up. You can go down to the dress shop and get made up.
Amen. Preach, brother.
You can go down there and get drugged up.
Hallelujah.
At the end of the day, you were just a drugged up, dressed up, made up, cut up, man or woman. You ain't changed what God put in you, that DNA. You can't transcend God's creation. I don't care how hard you try. The transgender movement in this country, if there's a movement in this country that is demonic and that is full of the spirit of Antichrist, it is the transgender movement. It's time for grown-ups and time for Christians to start standing up and being unafraid to tell the truth.
You ain't wrong.
Come after me if you want to. I don't care. You
Here's
want
my
my
head.
Here it is right here. Come on, come get it. I don't care because it's time for us to stand up. Now, I'm not afraid to stand up and tell the truth about that issue. They're dragging our kids down into the pit of hell, trying to teach them that mess in our schools.
Becomes a 2 + 2 line.
Tell you like this, that ain't got no place at no school. 2 + 2 don't equal transgender. It equals 4. You need to get back to teaching them how to read instead of teaching them how to go to hell.
I'll tell you,
Yeah, I said it and I mean it.
That's just one. I've seen there's dozens or dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of them, different things that he's said over the past couple of years. He might not be Thomas Jefferson. I'm not saying he is. Most aren't. McClanahan has a great line of the false idea of equality and how we elect people that are mostly like us, our level. We don't want people smarter than us because we're just so much pride in ourselves. We don't want anybody that's bright. Actually, let me look at Brandon. I mean, I think
that State of the Union speech. We'll talk about it later. What was it? 7th grade level.
7th grade level. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, no one wants brainiacs in there. Look at Bush, Junior Bush. Everyone thought he was a moron, but
they want to have a beer with him.
Yeah, Dan Quayle, they mocked him, and then he couldn't spell potato right, and then they really went after him. They go after Trump for being an idiot on things. Imagine Trump without the money, but with the right color for the social justice warriors. And I know that what's her face, the 12-year-old boy on MSNBC, Mad
Rachel
Cow.
Maddow?
Oh yeah, she's gone after him. But she's also a queer wannabe 12-year-old boy girl. So she's in that little protected class. Not too many from the non-protective class, Scarborough, for example, not going to be able to go after him too much without saying, they'll have the racist card thrown back in their face on things like that. And unlike, what's his face that was running in Georgia, Herschel Walker, Mark can dish it back out. He knows how to talk right, pound it right back in the ground with some word. He's a wordsmith in the sense that he says the things that people want to hear, not like Trump in the sense of it's just one-liners to denigrate or derogatory type to another person to smash them down. When we talk about Vivek, that he was brighter than that, be able to take their arguments, spin around, throw it back at him. Mark's got that charisma in it and knows how to. He's a preacher himself.
I was about to say that preacher background probably helps there.
Yeah, so he gets in a speech or something like that. He's going to flat out just knock it out of the park, especially if it's prepared. Debate wise, we'll see. I mean, he'll have to go off against Stein here in North Kakalaki, who's pretty much like a Biden junior young guy. He's just running on abortion, really. And Mark is adamant, pro-lifer. Obviously, you've seen about pro-marriage. If you think about where he's at like that, he's across the board like that. Now, I go back to think locally, act locally, like the milk guys. Man, if you just focus on your states. I mean, was Alabama's now the Supreme Court actually went saying that babies are humans and you can't do IVF, but the Senate or the Senate or House is coming up with a bill pretty much saying, it's protecting IVF. So again, you got to get involved in your local and state to be able to squash this stuff. Someone like Mark, you get that like that. Imagine what you could do with that. Education system, change that, flip that over. Tranny laws. There's some bills that got passed under Cooper. Now again, Soros got into the state. He's in all the states, but you can only max out at like 5,000. I think it was. It wasn't a big number that he can. Him and his son contributed like $5,000 to Cooper. So it's not like they throw millions. I'm sure they do some other weird way of doing it, but you can fight all this stuff at the local level. Might not be able to. You won't be able to do it federally though.
Nope, not at all. Because it's not designed for that. It's not designed to be that anyway. So, but the results
on that topic, you see what Hannity? What did we talk about last? We talked about this last week about Trump being a little bit less on abortion issues, and Mr. Conservative himself, former Catholic, that got upset about contraception. He's GOP, wave the flag, whatever floats the boat. He warns GOP against nominating hardline abortion opponents because it's all about W's. We got to get the the moderates.
It's all about winning. It's all about winning.
All about winning.
Trump said. Not about winning on principles. It's about winning.
And of course, like I said, I mentioned on the tweeter, if things were federally, he has no job.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a crisis, kind of like doctors, they don't care about curing, in a sense, curing the disease. It's kind of maintained. You keep coming back in because keeps pocketing the thing. If they want to cure cancer, they cure it. One, it's in the food. Two, we're not taking stuff into our system that's actually can help that. And three, we just keep it's rinse, wash, rinse, and repeat. And anyways, he doesn't care about. He wants crisis because the crisis brings the TVs to the channel. It's probably always good when like Biden or Obama was in. Their numbers were high. They get paid more. They write books more. If there was a federal system, he's done. He's unemployed. He's out there playing ding, 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 ding on the streets of San Francisco, wherever he's from, because he has no job, because he can't talk about local issues.
Nope, not at all. And that's the big lie, is that they want everything to be federal, but at the same time they don't, because they look at the leftist media. They wanted Trump out of office. As soon as he went out of office, nobody watched him anymore. So part of me, they say they're anti-Trump and they're all this other kind of stuff, but they all can't wait. They're all hoping he gets elected and he gets put back into office, because it'll be, good times are coming again for them, because people will tune in. Jen Psaki and all those will screech to the sky every single day about the end of democracy and all this other kind of nonsense and this, that, and the other thing. And the fact of the matter is, that's who they'll use against Mark, Jen Psaki, the great Joy Reid, all of them, Rachel Madcow, all of them. They'll use all of them. They'll use the ladies from The View. That's how they'll go after them.
How about this democracy for you?
Voici le résultat du scrutin sur le projet de loi constitutionnelle. Nombre de votants, 902. Nombre de suffrages exprimés, 852. Majorité requise pour l'adoption du projet de loi constitutionnel, soit les 3/5 des suffrages exprimés, 512. Pour l'adoption, 780. Contre, 72.
Yep. It's so good. Yay. Just so happy.
I get excited. I mean, for people that don't know, scoring at home, France put abortion in their constitution.
Awful. Affluent, white, female liberals. The death of Western democracy.
Yeah, we got plenty of immigrants coming in. You're not reproducing French people, and they'll be eliminated in a few decades.
Yep. France will split. France will split between, traditional France, the southern part, and then Paris, all that stuff, the metropolitan areas, that will stay to the newest French people that have been imported into the country. So that's exactly what's steamrolling to that conclusion.
Well, and since nobody on our team's really doing anything in the sense of running for office, I mean, I wouldn't say nobody. Was the last election, I think there was 4, and just in the Dallas area doing it. I don't know if anybody's doing it this year. Here's Portland.
All right, the race for Portland mayor has a new candidate. Her name is Leave Osthus, though some might know her by her exotic dancer's name. Sydney Dorner joins us now with more on Viva Las Vegas's run for mayor.
Yes, Catherine, when I met with Leave Osthus, I got to see her as much more than a stripper with political aspirations, but a woman who spent the last 3 decades listening to Portlanders and eager to put those connections to good use.
I'm sure she's eager to put the connections there.
Leave Osthus is known in many circles, perhaps most well known as exotic dancer Viva Las Vegas. But she's also a mom, author, musician, and sex worker advocate. And if she has her way, she'll add Portland mayor to the list.
To me, this is not me going into politics. This is me continuing on my journey as an artist.
Well, she's a hooker,
Graduating
so
from
she's a
Williams
prostitute
College
anyway,
with a
so it's just a
bachelor's in
natural next step.
anthropology, she moved to Portland in 1996. She says she started.
I mean,
it's a natural next step. I mean, we say politicians prostitute themselves all the time. You might as well just have a prostitute do it. I mean, come on, folks.
Again, you tell me there's no Catholic in Portland? There's no trend, no business. There's no Catholic man that has some good conviction and knows anything wanting to run. It would cost like $100 or something to run, to put your name in there. But the hookers, we got hookers running. We got trannies. People wonder, why is trannies getting elected in? Well, we're just sitting here we tweet harder.
Yep. That's it. We make sure that we are upset. We want to make sure our rage is being counted, but nothing else.
Well, I guess that'd be the next story. When the response from yesterday was somebody like that. Her husband didn't do it. The wife of 2 kids decided to run for her because she didn't like how things were going.
Yeah, but that's a whole.
Von Day had that in a sense. You know the story, the Von Day. There's a story of one of the battles. The men are coming back, beat, done, kind of roaring out, and the wives are going, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What are you guys doing? Get your butts back out there. And they pick up the rifles, and it takes the men kind of like a motivation in a sense. No. We'll go back. We'll grab the rifles back, and then they get going. So,
yeah. Well, that's most of the GOP that has their wives, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these women, they shouldn't be there. But anyway, watch poor Catherine Britt, who obviously was a drama student. She was one of those drama girls in high school. She was part of the drama club.
America. My name is Katie Britt.
This is the response to Brandon's State of the Union, if you're not knowing.
And I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most.
You notice she doesn't sound like she's from Alabama.
Yeah.
I am a proud wife and mom of 2
Which is why you
school-aged
spend
kids.
half your year in Washington, D.C.
My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran
Awful
for the
white
Senate.
people names.
Two young kids. That's why I ran for to get
Because
away from the kid.
I didn't want to be
I'm
around
worried
them.
about their
I
future.
didn't want to be around them. I
And the
left.
future of children in every corner of our nation. And
Oh,
that's
here it
why
comes.
I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America,
I would've played
my
music.
husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician.
And just let you know, she had this written beforehand because she just watched it and then got all dolled up to go sit in the kitchen, and now she's spewing her thoughts. No, this is prepared.
Who has actually been in office
Well, they give the speech
for
out ahead of
longer
time.
than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families
like
are
you,
worse off.
Miss Britt,
Our
in your
communities
kitchen.
are less.
I mean, the
your
guy on
farmhouse
the
kitchen.
corner knows that much. I mean, can I just, here's the response video. Let me pull this bum off the corner and then just let him talk about the response. I guarantee he could do this or better.
Safe, and our country is less secure.
Why are you
I
talking
just
like
wish he understood what real families are facing around
Yeah, 'cause
kitchen
you're a real
tables
family.
just like this one. This is where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard
that? When you
decisions.
leave?
It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together, and it's where we hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance.
$100 that I don't have, Rick. This will be a spoof on Saturday Night Live this weekend.
Oh, it's going to be the opening. It's going to be the open. This will be the cold open. This will be the cold open. Sheesh, I'll do it.
And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry.
I can't go on.
Honey, you're
I
in
can't
the
go
U.S.
anymore.
Senate. You ain't worrying about nothing.
I haven't watched the whole thing, but that was brutal just that much.
I mean, first of all, whoever gets selected for the response, it's a death sentence. Look back through the years, nobody's ever done a successful rebuttal because A, everybody's already worn out from the State of the Union because that thing is just annoying politically. And B, if who's going to be watching Joe Biden, who's a Joe Biden supporter, watch that and then watch Senator Britt from her farmhouse kitchen talking about, be like, you know what? I'm going to switch sides now. It's an old strategy. It's stupid. You might as well just have anybody in the Capitol just live stream on X being like, yeah, that was stupid. Trump 2024, and then just hang up. But the whole process, the whole thing being dolled up. I mean, Tucker did it live. He made fun of the fact that he did it live, and he got like 1 million people to watch.
Oh yeah,
because that's the people, because they had Alex Jones there. But that's who you want to watch. Nobody wants to see more politicians talking about stuff. This lady's not worrying about anything, right? If she ran for Congress, then obviously her husband's doing it.
You don't have time to counter them all. Why do they lie so much? They think we're dumb or what's going on?
Since
They want to tell so many lies that you don't have time to counter them all. Because it would take 5 hours to counter all that. I mean,
I gave up in my note taking.
Yeah, everything was a lie. And I mean, the biggest one was like, yeah, this woman got killed by illegal alien. We're trying to stop that. I want to shut down the border. He said, when I win, immediately surge the border. And then they had the big NGOs, the State Department that funds the UN NGOs, have all the illegals come up here. They have UN camps in South America and Central America and in Mexico, and he's running it all. He says, come here. They show up by the thousands in Biden shirts. So he's like, I'm so sad the illegal aliens are killing you, and many of them are convicted felons, a large portion, and then he's acting dumb and saying, oh, no, I'm really sad illegal aliens are raping and murdering citizens. So just that little window there, he's playing the good cop to his own globalist policies. Everything that the State Department, the Victoria Nuland's won, and you're absolutely right. First he comes out and says Trump is Hitler, and then he moves on to Ukraine. So it's not about the dying cities, it's not about the fentanyl and the needles, the illegal aliens everywhere, and the homeless everywhere. It's all about Ukraine because that's their big model to distract us and also launder money.
First, just everyone scoring at home. Article 2, Section 3, I think it is, gives the president the right to present to Congress the, quote, State of the Union. Back in the day, it used to be a letter written to them, and they would just read it if they wanted to each other. It wasn't a pomp and circumstance that you see on primetime TV. I think that's where they start with FDR.
Either FDR or Wilson.
Yeah, and then after that, it was, look at me. I am your elected king. Bow down. Here's the kiss the crown, in a sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, then was it Trump wasn't, Pelosi was upset that he had to be invited in, which he has. He just can't walk in, strut his stuff. Hey, I'm here. No, it's not his place. We have to invite him in. And, it should be gone. It should not. Nobody should watch it, one, because everyone just loses their mind on it. Then you got these guys on Twitter. This was the greatest speech ever. Which here's a clip I saw of all the State of the Unions that he did.
All Americans deserve the freedom to be safe.
This isn't it.
And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%.
Oh, this is some guy yelling 13 Marines. Hey, at least it's getting like European Parliament, so it gives a little bit more. There's some yelling going on.
30% they went up.
Which I love.
The guy gets arrested, kicked out of here.
The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add.
Then why'd you do it?
I'd be a winner. Not really.
What?
Oh, hey, by the way, Lincoln Riley. Nice to know you.
This is it. This is that. First off, really, you wore that there? I mean, Clown Planet?
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was.
He's actually the football coach for the USC Trojans.
Imagine if you're the social media guy for USC and you're like, oh, it's the middle of March. I'm going to go on vacation. And then I'm stealing this from Clay Travis. You're like, yeah, I'm going to go to Florida for a couple days. And your phone just blows up because they're like, Lincoln Riley's dead. And you're like, what are you talking about? Lincoln Riley, he just did a press conference yesterday. It's like,
yeah, Lincoln's going around saying, I didn't know I died today. I mean, this is terrible.
We hardly knew you, bud.
That could hurt.
I knew his defense was bad, but dang.
that could really hurt the recruiting. I mean, how many people probably left and went, you know what, I'm going to go to something. I'm going to go take my talents to Oregon now. Or
yeah, right.
Poor Lincoln. What'd I do?
Yeah, right, buddy. Sorry.
By an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look.
I feel your pain.
That's right.
For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we faced into an opportunity. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Here, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The only nation that can be defined by a single word, possibilities. Actually, I can define it in one word, and I mean this, possibilities. Possibilities. I'm a capitalist. Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Let's pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. And extend the child tax credit. And let's restore the full child tax credit. Restore that child tax credit. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll see a field of dreams. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams, our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. Used to be number 1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. Began to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're also replacing poisonous lead pipes. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. We're going to do it by buying American. Buy American products. We're going to buy American. We're going to buy America. Buy America. The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. We're building an economy where no one's left behind. We leave no one behind. I get it. I get it. I get it. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. It costs the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
It goes on and on, but hey, there you go. You watched all the State of the Union. Guess what? Next, if he gets reelected, you can see what's going to happen next year.
Yeah, pretty much the same talking points that you saw there. Folks, I got to wrap it up because I'm starting to fade real bad right about now. So we're gonna wrap it up this week. We're not gonna have one next week because I will be in North Carolina at the Martyrs Walk. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. But until then, do you have anybody for your Saint of the Week in Cry Room?
I'll put the New York City. I'll put New York City in the Cry Room for what's going on up there. Got the National Guard.
I like how they picked the one lady. You're gonna get sprayed. Like this lady pushing people over the edge.
Hey, you're gonna like it too. There's your police state in action, ladies and gentlemen. Saint of the Weeks. I didn't. I guess with everything going on, I guess I'll go with Robinson for winning. Just showing up, but I'll give Nikki for finally bowing out and saving us some heartache for wasting our times for so long, for finally leaving. And
yeah, that definitely works. So for my Saint of the Week, I'm gonna go with Denis Villeneuve. He's the director of Dune. What he did, and I know Steve doesn't know what a Dune is, but it doesn't matter. But there was a dying man who wanted to see the film, and 2 months before the film came out, he flew and took a laptop and personally let this guy watch the film beforehand. It's a pretty boss move to let that gentleman be able to see it before anybody else. I'm not saying the guy's a great guy in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that. My Cry Room is the ATF. It's always the ATF, but the ATF went on Face the Nation, and they were trying to show off all these things. Steve Dettelbach, I call him Dummenbach, no idea any of the guns there. His expert didn't know how to disassemble a firearm. And so those are my guys. And since we're not going to be here next week, Steve wants to throw in one more saint.
That was a pathetic saint of the week for me. Let me just do anybody that's talking about the flower massacre that went down. Corbett went over this for a little bit. Last American Vagabond's been going over for a lot. If you don't know what it was, check it out. They're saying that the one thing went down, but even ABC News says most of the people that died were 80% of the wounds were gunshot wounds. So again, they lost the narrative, and you're not going to hear that from Ben Shapiro or anything like that. So people that are calling out stuff like the Israeli Holocaust going on right now, put them in Saint of the Week.
Yeah, there you go, folks. All right, that is it for this episode of News from the Pew. Please like, subscribe, and share the News from the Pew, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you in 2 weeks from now. And until then, God bless and Viva Cristo Rey.